I'm going to make this 10 minutes because a minute isn't long enough, and 3 minutes certainly isn't long enough, because I'm going to rant about it for quite some time. So, spoilers if you haven't seen this movie yet. I'm incredibly late to the party at this point, but I saw the American Society of Magical Negroes yesterday. It's streaming on Peacock, so if anybody wants to see it, be more than welcome to it. But this movie had all the tools necessary to say something incredibly poignant and necessary, and it missed the mark by like 30 miles. This was a rough watch. The acting was good, but I think oftentimes, like, when you see a movie like that, you want that message to like give it like a nice little oomph, and I was really anticipating the message. Now, I know people saw the trailer and then they really categorized it differently, where they said this is Black Harry Potter, and you gotta understand that this was purely about the trope itself, and it still missed the mark. So, quick synopsis: Justice Smith, he gets accepted into the Society of Magical Negroes. If you're not familiar with the trope, it's typically in movies where a white character is in peril or in struggle, then a black character will come in and almost allow them to become an avatar to see things that they haven't seen, so that way they can achieve greater success. You saw this in Green Mile, you saw this in Ghost, you saw this in The Legend of Bagger Vance, you saw this in virtually almost every single movie. Driving Miss Daisy is another one. It appears so often, you don't really realize that it's a trope. And this is a good opportunity to flip the trope on its head and present it in a way that, hey, just because you're here to serve these people, maybe you shouldn't. And then we should encourage other people that we are powerful with our own voice rather than the coddling of another. And that's kind of where the movie really starts, is that the message that it constantly tells you, and it's only 90 minutes long at this point. The movie really beats over the head that black people are safe as long as white people feel comfortable. The second that they're uncomfortable, not only do we lose our powers, but our life is on the line. And it really beats you over the head constantly with that story. And then so it gets to the point where a character has to make a decision on, hey, do I continue to serve this other character or do I serve myself? But you don't really learn any of that until like the back end of the movie. It's too busy telling you we have to placate it and make white people comfortable, because if we don't, it's all over. I already have a problem with that entire mindset already, because if that's the mindset that you're going in and that's the mindset you're telling me, is like, even if you're nice to people, even if you see people on the street and you're nice, you're kind of acting upon this magical Negro trope, because you're not being nice, you're only exercising this trope more to help other people feel comfortable. Because if you're not, by nature, we're aggressive and we're angry and we're mean, and that doesn't make white people feel comfortable at all. So our life is on the line. But if we're nice to them, then we fall into this whole trope. Now you're a trope now because you're just nice to another human being. There's so many problems with this movie, and I think at the end of the movie, and this is spoilers, the whole video here is a spoiler, but when it gets to the end of the movie, Justice Smith has this amazing monologue on how it's difficult to be black in America and how difficult it has been for him to live this life that is expected of him. And you're hearing it, but at the same time, it's during this presentation, and there's three other white characters, and they're all talking over him. Like, one is trying to continue this presentation, this other one is trying to stop him from doing whatever, the other one's panicking. So it's being drowned out in this mess of noise, and you're not hearing his message, which I think was their core like mission statement. And it's a miss because he's got something important to say, and again, it's being drowned out by white noise. Another part that didn't sit well with me, because one of the characters is like, this entire presentation that we're going to do is about diversity, and Justice Smith is like, that doesn't sit well with me, that makes me uncomfortable. And the white character's like, dude, I'm not racist. What? Where did that come from? And that part didn't sit well with me, because this is something that every black person is going to run into, where you say something about your own feelings and somebody misinterprets that feelings, and then they make it about themselves, and then they expound upon it about themselves, and you're like, that's not exactly what I said, that is nothing what I said. And so it punches in the gut a bit, but I still think that it misses the mark. I think in order for this trope to achieve what it wanted to achieve, I think what it should have done was that everybody needs to, if you are seen as this magical Negro, then you should be able to achieve more for yourself, not just for the benefit of others. You need to look for personal satisfaction and personal gain. Because if you're stuck in this trap of always constantly having to cater to this other group of people, it's never going to work, and it's always a cycle of unsatisfactory behavior. But it doesn't do that. It doesn't even talk about that. It talks about our power is only defined by if white people are comfortable with us and that we are disarming. Then only in then are we powerful together. That's insane. The Astronomy Club, their whole show is on Netflix. They did a whole Magical Negro bit, which I think is top-notch, stellar, that I think everybody should watch. And I think it does an amazing job that this movie failed to even capture to begin with. All in all, I'm disappointed. I was really looking forward to seeing this movie. I would have saw it in the movie theater, and I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because watching it from home, I was mad disappointed. But I think I would have been even more disappointed knowing that I shut out all this much money for this movie and it fell on its own shoelaces. This was a miss. This movie was a miss by a long shot. I don't know. If you guys saw it, tell me what you guys think. Let's have a conversation. If you didn't see it, watch it. Honestly, I got a little bit to go. I don't think white people will understand the message that black people get out of this movie. I think they're going to see this movie and think it was passable and it was fine. Nothing to write home about. But I think this movie speaks to African Americans on a lot of different levels. And it's a very, very painful experience for blacks. White people just kind of just write it off. It's whatever to them. This movie would have been a nothing burger, whatever. They ought to. I assume they all left the theater and watched Oppenheimer or something. I don't know.